Welcome, everybody.
Hello.
I'm Jeremy Burns.
I am Matthew Scott Phillips.
You're listening to Music Student 101, a music education podcast.
Yes, you are.
A question, Matt.
Yes.
Where the hell is Mike C., our wonderful announcer?
Oh, I don't know. What happened to him?
Well, this episode is actually all about the listener compositions.
Uh-huh.
And I decided that the one that we used for the opener, we use the same composer, Marc McDowell, for the closer.
Excellent.
Now, so I decided to not have any kind of voices going on. Every note shall be sacred in this episode. And there won't be a whole lot of... we're going to play... We'll show you how it's going to go. We'll get into it.
You'll get it.
Speaking of Mike, our announcer, I think we should say congratulations to Mike.
Congratulations, Mike.
And to Brian Malloy, our drum player, and to Jerry Chapman, our guitar player, and to you and to me, Matt, because we have officially broken our 200,000th download.
Woohoo!
Woo-hoo! No kidding, man. Ain't that great?
That is incredible. 200,000 people have listened to me BS about music. That's a little scary.
It's pretty fantastic, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, 200,000. I've been listening to 200,000 times at least.
Yeah. How many minutes of BSing is that? We don't even.
That's a lot. That's a lot of BS.
Yeah. Well, so let me tell you a little bit about this here. Mm-hmm. This episode is really all about you, our listeners. This, we're kind of trying to thank. This is our way of saying thank you.
Yes.
You guys have been writing in. You guys have been helping us out on Patreon. You guys have been so great and so interactive.
It's been wonderful. It really has. And you guys have also been helping us out by sending us some of your wonderful music.
Yeah.
Which we have gotten to peruse, and we've perused it amongst ourselves the whole time we've been doing this.
All of these pieces are now earworms for me, and they will remain there till I die.
Yeah,
so you should be happy about that.
Yeah, so high time we shared your music with everyone, right?
Absolutely. Now, let me give you a little idea of how this is going to go, and I'm going to use our good intro music as an example, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Now, Marc McDowell,
mm-hmm.
one of our longtime listeners and Patreon patron.
Thank you very much, Mark.
He and his wife, Meadow, have begun their own podcast.
Oh, excellent.
Now, my wife, Heather, has been listening to all of these true murder podcasts. And you have to wonder, why are these women wanting to know how to get away with murder and clean the scene and all that stuff? I'm kind of trying to watch myself around her. How about Fran? Is she into any of that?
Oh, not even remotely.
Yeah?
No, yeah.
Well, you're okay. Then maybe you're safe.
Yeah, maybe I am. Maybe, yeah.
Unless she's listening on the sly.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't put that past her at all.
But what these two are doing is the podcast called the Actual Events Podcast, and it seems to be based on movies that were based on actual events. Okay.
Okay.
So the first episode they did, which I really enjoyed, was Monster. I think Christina Ricci was in that, but just one of the first serial murder women.
Right. Yeah.
Serial
murder.
Yeah,
I remember that.
Yeah.
Those things are so popular nowadays.
Well, then I'm excited about they're doing one on Goodfellas, which I'll be listening to soon.
Oh, yeah, of course, yeah.
But anyway, this music was the intro music to their podcast, to their show. And it's kind of going to be trippy to them, I'm sure, to hear this as the intro and closing music to our show. But we still wanted to share it. Okay?
They're probably going to make sure they're listening to the right audio file or something like that.
Right. So, you heard the music at the beginning. Of course, since it is untouched, you can go back and rewind and listen again. But here's kind of how this is going to go. You heard the music. I'm going to tell you a little bit about it, okay? Yep. And then we're going to go back and listen to it again and kind of talk it through.
Okay.
Dig it? So this piece is, I think it's just called the intro to their podcast.
Okay, yeah.
Events.
Yep.
And it's in 7/8, which is interesting first off.
Yeah, that is.
And it's a droning there's a simple droning melody in D Dorian, which is actually 1-3-5-7-2-1-6.
1-3-5-7-2. Are those chord progressions?
No, I'm sorry, just the melody.
Oh.
1,
so
3.
Okay, so those are scale degrees.
Yep.
1, 3, 5. What was those other ones?
7-2-1-6 in Dorian. Uh-huh. Exactly. So this kind of theme continues, and then more frenetic melodies come in, arpeggiating, and it gets there's a serious bass line that comes in afterwards, and then you get this not right feeling at the end that we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
It's going to be a part of the violin you're hearing, and the really high screechy violin moving from 5 to flat 5 to 5.
Oh, scary.
Yeah, so let's give it a listen, and I'll talk you through it, okay? Here's that melody. A little bit of bass. More frenetic, kind of arpeggiating. And then the bass is arpeggiating. It's getting kind of serious. Oh, there's that not right feeling with those high strings.
Yeah.
And then it fades out.
It's very murder mystery appropriate.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
He did a good job. This is, and they composed this.
Mark himself
composed this.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
It's very good. It fits the tone you want to create, which is what every composer is trying to do in one way or another, right?
Exactly. It certainly captured the mood.
Yeah.
And you're going to feel the same about our outro music, but we'll get into that at the end of the show. Now, let's move on. New review.
New review, yay!
We actually have a new review, but we're not going to read it.
Okay.
We're going to save it. We're going to try and bend that a little bit.
Okay.
Not to mention, this entire episode is pretty much an entire listener
Right.
listener mail, listener Patreon, because we're talking about a lot of these people.
Right.
But the one thing I do want to do is introduce you guys to a new Patreon patron.
Okay.
Because I don't want to start falling behind on thanking the Patreon.
Right,
patrons,
yeah.
Okay?
Exactly.
Because there's been plenty since our good friend Cody Gibson has joined in. But right now we're going to talk about Cody Gibson.
Okay.
Actually, Cody, the Code Man Gibson, is out of League City, Texas, okay? We first met Cody in episode 61. He started off, in his words, with a crappy miniature Casio keyboard. At age 12, he moved to alto sax, and around the same time, he got an electric guitar.
I recall this.
Yes, he had a mean red-eyed guitar teacher who kind of turned him off of the guitar.
Yeah, I hate it when that happens.
Yeah. And then Tenacious D brought him back to the guitar. We love Tenacious D.
That's the Jack Black band, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely, yeah. Now, Cody had some good tips on MIDI composition and how to make your instrument sound more true. Again, this is episode 61 if you want to go back and listen.
Okay.
Because he actually has some really good tips.
Oh, good. We should probably read those
And
at some point.
Also, we're going to hear some compositions that are MIDI files.
Yeah.
And MIDI rendered files, which means they simply compose the notation
Yeah.
and then export it as a MIDI file.
Right, yeah.
And we're going to talk about a little bit about that. But again, Cody's got some great tips on how to do that. Okay. Again, he's just joined us on Patreon, so let's hear a bit of an update on where he is now. Matt, you want to see what Cody's up to?
So what has Cody been up to? Cody says, been a while since I reached out. Just wanted to say the most recent episode with Craig Brandwine was pure gold.
Hey.
Yeah, we like Craig.
Yeah, we do, man.
By far your best episode to date, in my humble opinion. If indeed you remember me, you will recall I have been busy with my semester, and I'm happy to report many fruitful things have come out of it. Now that things are winding down, I can finally get around to sending you gentlemen some music that you can hopefully give me pointers on, both production/engineering and theory-wise.
Yeah, and Cody, I'm looking forward to hearing your music. I don't think I've received anything yet. I'll have to go back and double check my inbox.
Yeah.
But fear not, Cody, because we will have more of these episodes. This is episode 70.
Yeah.
This is a nice round number.
Nice round number.
And that might be a good time to start doing these, maybe every 10 episodes.
Every 10 episodes or so, take a break and do these. Yeah, I'm down with that.
So send us what you like, Cody. We'll get that going. Hey, also, I want to make a little comment here. We have a listener, Jay, the guitar player, who had a a tremendous bass player joke, but then he checked in expressing a little bit of remorse. He was like, God, I feel kind of mean now.
It feels kind of mean.
But it was a great joke. Jay.
It was, yeah.
Jason, don't worry, my man. In fact, Cody is going to hear to make you feel a little bit better.
Oh, good.
Cody has a bass player joke. You ready?
Yes, Cody. Let's hear some bass player
He
jokes.
says, how do you reduce the wind drag on a bass player's car?
Take the Domino's pizza sign off the roof.
Oh! Cody means well. He always ends his emails with have an enlightening, joyful, and peaceful day.
That's great.
So we love him. Keep the bass player jokes coming. Matt?
Yeah, keep the bass player jokes coming.
I guess we mentioned that, didn't we?
We may have once or twice mentioned that we happen to be bass players. Yeah. Seems like it came up once.
I think so.
Yeah. And so there you go. So Yeah, everybody, Jay and Cody and everyone else, keep the bass player jokes coming. We don't take ourselves seriously enough to get offended.
Nah, and we love you all, and we really appreciate the humor.
Indeed.
Makes the world go round, makes everyone's day a little better.
Yeah, a little saner.
Okay, now, thank you again, Cody, for your patron donation.
Indeed. Thank you, Cody.
And thanks for writing in and getting involved and offering these cool tips on MIDI articulations, which y'all should give a listen to.
Definitely.
Now, like the opening composition, all of the following compositions and songs were submitted roughly between October 2018 and mid-February of this year, 2019.
Okay.
So if you send something in that interim and your name wasn't mentioned, hit me back.
Okay, yeah.
We do have the occasional spam folder
issue, yeah.
Interception, I guess you would say. Now, we will not be listening for proper voice leading or other theory-based conventions.
Yeah, not necessarily. We will not be critiquing your music theory chops per se. Anybody who listens to this podcast knows that's kind of not what we're about anyway.
Yeah.
It's kind of not how we think, what we think theory is for, to sit there and say, well, what you should have done was blah, 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 necessarily, so.
We've said on many occasions, theory's not there to inform how you write, it's there to explain what you did, right?
Pretty much,
For the most part.
Hard to say it better than that.
Now, if you know theory well, it can actually help to, speed up
Give
the
you
process.
options.
Give you options, expand your palette,
Mm-hmm.
right? What else are we not listening for? We're not listening for technical skills or production value.
Not so much, because, everybody's at a different place along their path.
Yes, the main thing is that you're making music, right?
Yeah, our job is not to sit here and say, well, you need to be a better musician or a better sound designer or whatever, Our job. What is our job actually? Our job is just to enjoy what you do, and talk about what you do. So
now we're not listening for hooks. We're not listening for marketability. We might be listening for hooks.
I don't even know what marketability is. So I can't. I'm the last person that needs to listen for that.
We're a little out of touch with the pop scene, so we will not be listening for that. Okay. All right. What are we listening for? Music, sweet music.
Yeah, we're just here to enjoy what you do at this point, and expose you to the rest of our listenership.
Okay.
Is the idea.
Yeah, totally. And one more side note before we begin listening, you'll actually be able to see what's going on if you look on our website. Some of these composers have sent us notation, and so you can go to musicstudent101.com, click on podcasts, go down to episode 70, and you'll be able to see the notation, as well as probably links to where you can learn more about the composers and hear more of their music. Okay. Now, these are in no particular order,
right?
Other than something I thought might kind of gel pretty good.
Be semi-programmatic, maybe.
Programmatic, yes. But I will start off with Eamon Kelly.
Okay.
I think I pronounced his name. I think you even said Eamon.
Eamon.
And I corrected you and thought it was Eamon, but now I'm starting to think it is actually Eamon.
Yeah, that's an actual name, Eamon.
I have no excuse for that being in an Irish band for the past decade. I should know my Irish names pretty good, shouldn't I?
Yeah.
Eamon Kelly. Also a Patreon in Baltimore, Maryland, and originally from Ohio. I'm starting with he was the first submission, the first ever submission. Okay?
Awesome.
So we're going to go ahead and start with that.
Awesome.
Not to mention it sounds really cool.
Yeah.
Eamon, let's just read what he has to say, shall we?
Okay, yeah. Eamon says, I hope all is well.
See, there I did it again. I called him Eamon, didn't I?
He's probably okay with it by now.
I hope so.
He's probably, yeah.
He's
probably decided, he's never going to say it right. It's just, it's fine.
Don't give up on me, Eamon.
Anyway, he says, I hope all is well with you and Matt. Always happy to see another episode every 2 weeks. After the call for listener music on the last episode, I figured I'd send over a recording of a short piece I wrote for piano. As you guys were instrumental, pun intended, in helping me write it.
Hey, real quick, why do people say no pun intended? You know they intended the pun.
Right.
Thanks for not doing that.
If they didn't intend the pun, they wouldn't realize it is a pun.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, pun definitely intended. I kept it simple since I can't play anything too complicated with both hands. Me either, Eamon. Me either. I am hoping to get more movement between them on future pieces. The episodes on inversions, counterpoint / voice leading, and modulations were particularly useful here. As before, those I would struggle with getting chord progressions to sound good, as I was just going from root position to root position all the time. Yeah, that's a definite step along the path when you kind of learn to go, stop doing that and kind of start, and get that kind of fluidness. That's a definite step along the path that we all take at some point. Where was I? Oh, yeah. I kept the melody simple and targeted chord tones frequently and always kept it in key. With the recent episodes on secondary dominance, I'm excited to try some spicier chords and melodies that venture out of key. Hey. Yeah, another step along the path. Basically, the first half is a 1, 5, 4, 7 in G sharp minor. And for our listeners, he has got these in quality that is diatonic.
Yeah.
So minor 1, minor 5, minor 4, major 7, as would be diatonic in the natural minor, right? Of G sharp minor. Then a bridge section where it switches from G sharp minor to A flat major, which I find very interesting.
And it's interesting how he does it. We'll talk about that.
Yes, we'll talk about that. With the second half starting with 1, 4, 2, 5 in A flat major. And now here we are primarily 1, 6, 2, 5 in A flat major. And again, diatonic chord quality. So major 1, minor 6, minor 2, major 5. Yeah. And then modulating to minor 1, minor 5, minor 4, major 7 in F minor. Same progression as the first half in G sharp minor. So he's managed to get from G sharp minor down what we would call an augmented second to F minor, which is a fairly... This is not a closely related key, right? This is kind of a far away key, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, huh?
Yeah.
Let's give it a listen, shall we?
Let's do indeed.
Okay, so this is Doubtful Resolve by Eamon Kelly, the key of G sharp minor, 3/4 time. All right, so that was the first listen.
Yeah, great, right?
Wasn't it fantastic?
Has a wonderful Beethovenian Moonlight Sonata quality to it.
I believe he was admittedly inspired by that, as he says.
Oh, well, yeah, that's excellent. Beethoven's one of my favorite composers, too, so I totally get the Beethoven inspiration.
Absolutely. So what we're going to do now is to go back and listen to it. I'm going to kind of read out these chord progressions and some of the things that happen as we go through, okay?
Okay, sounds good.
Here we go. This is Doubtful Resolve.
Yes.
Key of G sharp minor.
Key of G sharp minor, which it has what key signature there, Jeremy?
I'm going to say 5 sharps.
There you go. Good job. Yeah, the relative minor of B major.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for those of you who remember our episode on the relative minors.
Yeah. Also, I'm looking at the paper, so I was able to really.
Yeah. Also, he's
quick.
cheating. Yeah. So yeah, he still got a little terrified look on his face when I asked him a theory question.
I did. So. Yeah. Eamon came in clutch for me this time because he put the key signature down. That's what the kids are saying these days.
Thankfully for Jeremy, Eamon knows his key signatures.
Yeah. Right.
So let's listen to this.
Okay. So here we go, and again, we're gonna start off in G sharp minor with a minor 1 chord. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Here we go.
So this is 1.
1. Minor 5.
Minor 5, yeah.
Moving to 4. Right
Minor
there.
4. It's called a retrogression, going from 5 backwards.
Oh, cool. And there's that F sharp major.
This is major 7.
Major 7.
It'll be diatonic in the minor mode.
Now the left hand is taking over what was happening in the right hand. Melody.
Mm-hmm.
Again, 1. Again to the minor 5. I love a good descending melody.
Oh, yeah.
Moving to 4, still descending. Now dig this. F sharp major.
Mm-hmm.
But now, listen. Minor.
F sharp minor.
Yeah. Suspension figures.
I would actually call this chord B, but that's just me.
Yeah, okay. Now this is the 4.
Mm-hmm.
Moving back to that 7, major 7 and minor. Now here we have an open 5th chord. No 3rd, okay? There's no minor 3rd. He's setting it up for the suspension figure.
Mm-hmm.
When it resolves, listen. Wait. Now we're in G sharp major.
G sharp major,
A flat
which
major.
technically doesn't exist, so he has changed to A flat major.
A flat major, yes. Now there's that resolve I was talking about. Now we're in A flat. Now, A flat 1, 6,
6, yeah.
2,
2.
5. 1, 6, 2, 5.
Beautiful circle of fifths progression.
Again. 1, 6, and a 2. And this 7 is a 5 of 1. A 7 of 1 in the new key.
Mm-hmm.
Which is F minor right now. 1,
Yeah.
5, minor 5, minor 4, and then 7, suspension figure, 4 to 3 right there, minor 1, minor 5.
And we are firmly in F minor now, right?
Yeah, this is the B flat minor, which is the 4, and F
And
minor.
we hear F minor.
Is that 7? Ending in F minor.
Yeah, in that big F minor chord there at the end, really nice and low.
So he pulled it off very well, didn't he? He kind of set us up. He in times where he was going to go from the from basically G sharp minor to A flat major, which is the just raising the third of the same chord.
Yeah, it's the parallel major, right?
Yeah.
Even though 'cause G sharp A flat, right?
Uh-huh.
It's the same thing. He's just gone from the major mode. He's gone from the minor mode to the major mode, which shares that tonic, and called it, because G sharp major technically doesn't exist, right? It would have 6 sharps and 1 double sharp in the key signature.
Who needs
that? And we just don't do that. We'll just call it A flat.
Yeah, man. And it was cool how he set it up, though. I just like the way he kind of dropped the third and had an open 5th chord to kind of throw us in a little bit of chaos, or maybe take a little bit of chaos out of it,
Yeah, this chord is actually a sus4 chord that immediately precedes the A flat, and rather than moving that down to the 3rd, he moves that 4 up to E flat. Mm-hmm. And so it's just which would be D sharp, and there's your open 5th chord, and then when we get a 3rd again, that chord is C, aka B sharp, right? And now we're C, and now we're in the key of A flat.
Yes,
in the theoretical key of G sharp major, which would have been the parallel minor.
C being the major 3rd of A flat. Flat chord.
If I had to slap a label on this, I would maybe call this common tone modulation.
Okay.
To the extent that it even really is a modulation. It's as you say, it's really just changing one note. Mm-hmm. It's just a modal shift. But
in fact, in my mind, at first, I kind of thought that the whole thing would have stayed in the same G sharp, although it does go to G sharp major, so you can't really. Yeah. But at the end, where that E flat resolves to an F minor, I was thinking deceptive cadence.
Yeah, you can hear it that way.
You can hear it that way.
Yeah. So this. Oh gosh, am I brave enough to try to read? Yeah. So you've got this E flat. Yeah. And in moving it to F minor, and this is an F minor that's in an inversion, by the way. But
which he mentioned.
Yeah, he did mention. And moving it to this F minor. You can definitely hear that as a deceptive cadence. I think what makes that modulation, and this modulation I think is even cooler than the other one, because I think what makes this convincing is that you've heard 7/1 in every chord progression you've heard in this piece, right? So when he's in A flat and he goes 1, 5, 6, 2, 5, and as you say, that 5 E flat becomes 7 of the new key. Those are 2 chords that are going to sort of serve dominant function. I mean, people will say the major 7 doesn't, but screw those people. I think it can.
I kind of think it does too.
You've sort of been prepped to think that a chord progression is going to end with a whole step up. Right, from a 7 to a 1, because you've heard it before.
Yes.
So when you hear it in this context, even though you've used it as a common chord, even though you've sort of taken a swerve chord progression wise, it's a swerve that you're sort of prepared to hear because you've heard it before. Yeah. You've heard it in every chord progression in this piece of music up until now. So F minor sounds like a natural place to go.
Yeah.
And then for the rest of the piece, we're pretty firmly in F minor, 1, 5, 4. Yeah, the same chord progression.
That's where I think it's that's what justifies it as a modulation to me, as opposed to staying in the same key with a deceptive cadence, because he is bringing back the same progressions as in the first part of the song.
Absolutely.
Just in a different key.
Absolutely, I would call this a change of key, definitely, more so than a deceptive cadence. Now, there are probably theorists who would argue that you don't really have a common chord modulation on a dominant functioning chord, ergo this is a tonicization. And all right, if you want to split that particular hair, great. But to me, even if you want to call it tonicization, it's a tonicization that we've been prepared to accept.
Yeah.
By the chord progressions as they've happened in this piece, which is the thing that I think is really cool. That shows a lot of compositional forethought.
Yeah, a lot of potential.
Yeah, absolutely. Great piece.
Yeah. Thanks again, Eamon Kelly. Well done, sir.
Well done indeed.
And again, that was Doubtful Resolve.
Indeed, yes.
Key of G sharp minor. Okay, now let us move on, shall we?
Yeah, let's.
Nancy Mitchell wrote me a good while ago.
We remember Nancy.
Yeah. Let's see here. Let's just go ahead and get right into her email, okay?
Okay.
Do you want to take this one, Matt?
I do. I thought this was going to be less paper flapping using this damn thing, and it's more. But
Matt's using his iPad to be nice about paper flapping.
Yeah, well, that was the idea, but I think it sucks worse than just having the papers flap. All right.
We've kind of let that go. It used to be really...
So Nancy Mitchell has written us a piece she calls US 1.
Mm-hmm.
And she says, at age 10, I knew I wanted to be a musician. But my parents had other ideas. Long story short, I finally put my foot down and got my degree. Very good job, Nancy. Congratulations. It took me a long time, but I did it. I passed all of my theory classes, but at my age, I don't think I was taken seriously, and after graduating, I really didn't know what to do with my degree. Ageism really sucks.
Let's talk about it a little bit, shall we?
Mm-hmm.
Why does it make any sense for someone to say, based on someone's age, that they're not taking, why wouldn't you take someone seriously? And you probably see more of this because you're in a college environment a lot, right?
Right.
So what's up?
I honestly don't know. I mean, this is an attitude I've seen. It's not an attitude I agree with.
Uh-huh.
I actually have found my my older students to be particularly hardworking and particularly serious about their degree. They tend to be in a place in their life where they're not doing something because they think they're pleasing their parents or they're doing something because they want to.
In fact, in the case of Nancy, it was quite the opposite. I think her parents really didn't want her to get into music, and she said, "Hey, this is my decision. This is my course. I'm going to do this."
Yeah, right. So
I imagine she came out of pocket for that.
Yeah, probably. And I think it's pitiful to take someone less seriously for these reasons.
Mm-hmm.
I certainly would never do that.
No.
And I think, and Nancy probably always knows this, but in life sometimes you have to be the one taking yourself seriously.
This is true.
And that it's no different in college, and I hate that you had to go through that. I do.
Mm-hmm.
But, there you go. We take you seriously, Nancy.
Yes, we do. Thank you, Nancy.
Anyway, rant over. Stepping down from the soapbox now. Anyway, I do sing and I play trumpet in a community band. 2 years ago, I auditioned and was told I have a great voice. I also volunteered to teach trumpet at a nearby elementary school. Well, what can I say? Everyone has positive words about my skills, but no one wants to pay me.
Hey, we've heard that before. I've experienced that before.
We're laughing because we empathize.
Absolutely.
We know what that. Yeah, isn't that funny? Everybody. In fact, the people who are totally not going to pay you. Are the ones who will praise your skills the most.
They will blow the most smoke.
They're the ones who say, "Oh, you are so good. Oh, you are so talented. Oh, you are so awesome." They're the ones that aren't going to pay you. Mm-hmm. It's just life. It's just life as a musician.
So that's a new rant, right?
What's that?
That's a new rant, isn't it?
That's a new rant. Yeah. Nancy, rant number 2.
Nancy, you're inspiring all these rants.
Yeah.
Controversial, this one.
Yeah, but all right, so let's move on. I'm looking forward to listening to more of your podcast for ideas. By the way, I wrote a lot of lyrics and won a contest to have lyrics put to music, which cost me about $300. Per the contract, I cannot put those lyrics to any other music, and what did they send me? I only received a digital recording, not even a lead sheet. So, I mean, yeah. My transcription skills are rusty, so I'm hoping to hone up on those via your podcast. So you have here one frustrated musician who, if nothing else, enjoys continuing to learn about music theory.
Okay.
Well, thank you so much for the kind words, Nancy, and we feel your pain. Dealing with people can be frustrating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to say 2 things. First off, I guess it's not in this email, that Nancy had mentioned she had a professor of hers suggest that she don't even take the jury, which is basically your chance to perform in front of the
Right,
faculty.
yeah, we talked about juries in the podcast.
Yes, we did. It was an episode on performance and stage fright.
Yeah, it's sort of like the final in a college final for a music performance person, where you just have to come up and perform for professors.
So this professor said, don't worry about taking your jury because I can tell you're not on a serious path.
Yeah.
A professional path.
And Jeremy and I both had pretty much the same reaction to that. What was our reaction, Jeremy?
I think it was that guy.
That guy.
Or person.
Or whatever.
Or whoever that was.
That person.
Totally.
That is just a miserable attitude to have.
Hey, now, number 2, anyone telling you that you have to pay $300 because this pay for play thing is a thing. Okay,
those people.
Those people. I have been victimized by that. A lot of groups I know have too.
I have too. I mean, I think everybody has. Yeah.
And then they have the audacity to take her piece and say that she can't put it anywhere else.
Yeah. Huh. Yeah. You basically paid to sign over your copyright rights to those people. Yeah.
Okay. So Nancy, you're not in the wrong here.
No.
This has been lame. This has been a lame.
And you're also not alone.
No, and you're not alone.
Yeah. You develop a real cynical savviness in the music business sometimes. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, let's get into Nancy's piece.
Let's get into Nancy's piece.
Shall we?
Yeah. All right.
I don't want to get any more angry here. We're having a good time.
So do we want to talk a little theory beforehand?
I think so, because this is kind of a rare case in what we kind of planned for this show, because we were going to talk during the piece, but we can't really talk during this piece because
she sings.
She's singing.
Yeah.
Okay? And so we don't want what is called the cocktail party effect, when you're actually having to be exposed to several conversations at one time and having to.
So we're going to talk about our theory before, and then listen to the music.
Yes, this is a pretty straightforward piece, actually. The melody is
a major pentatonic scale, which we talked about in a fairly recent episode.
Exactly.
There, yeah.
And it's, in terms of contour, she every now and again will hit this 6. So 1, 2, 3, 5. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 5, 3, and so forth. Mm-hmm. At the very end, when she's kind of bringing the whole story together, she starts off the melody in a. So she starts off with that 6, and then we're at 4.
Yeah.
So the whole, this is in the key of C. 1, 5, 5, 1.
Yeah, there you go.
So it's really kind of the main. She's not really getting in any crazy chromaticism. She's telling a simple story, a good story.
Yeah, and the lyrics do have a narrative quality to them. We're telling a story, and as is often the case in music, going all the way back to Schubert, these kinds of things would often feature less complicated chord progressions for the sake of you putting your attention to the narrative.
Yeah. So Nancy says she's a little skittish, but she decided to go ahead and stick her neck out and do it and send us this composition.
Awesome.
So we're going to share it with the rest of the world here.
Excellent.
Okay, you ready?
Yes.
Here we go. This is US1 by Nancy Mitchell in the key of C.
US1. We were riding down life's highway on US1, laughing and crying about the things we'd said and done. We pulled into a truck stop to grab a bite to eat. We walked in and took a window seat. US1, US1, we were riding down life's highway on US1. A man came up and said to me, I've got something that you should see. I took out a picture, it was torn in two. Don't you think that this woman looks a lot like you? I reached into my handbag for a photograph, and just like his, mine was torn in half. We placed them on the table, side by side. There they were together, my father and his bride. I looked at him, he looked at me. It all made sense for us to see. US1, US1. We were riding down life's highway on US1. You are the child I could not see because of a fight between your mother and me. I wanted to hold you, raise you, and tried in vain. Written on his face were years of pain. Laughter and tears were shed that day as we learned about the tricks that life could play. Mom went to heaven many years ago. You could see he was sad when I told him so. Let's keep in touch, we both agreed. Be safe now and Godspeed. US1, US1. We were riding down life's highway on US1. There you go.
There you go.
And there you go.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of a magical little coincidence-driven slice of life, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just kind of cool the way that came together. It's a fun story.
It is a fun story. Yeah. I'd love to see her hook up with a good pianist that can lay some harmonies underneath that pentatonic scale.
She's looking for it, actually. I don't know if we covered this in the mail, in the letter, but she did mention, we've had a few exchanges, and she mentioned that she would like to hear maybe what other musicians do with this.
Oh, that'd be interesting.
Well, you can tell Nancy's in there playing the piano by herself, you know, kind of singing along as she plays.
Yeah.
And she did do a couple of cool little segues, little chord segues.
Yeah.
But I think she's looking for help. My suggestion was turn this into a punk rock song.
Yeah, that would actually be kind of cool.
Yeah, of course, that's me. But other musicians listening who might want to help Nancy out and maybe do something with it and are looking to collaborate, get in touch with us at info@musicstudent101.com.
Yeah, we'll put you two together.
And we'll put you two together. Again, info@musicstudent101.com.
Awesome.
We're not going to be sending out anyone's addresses or numbers or what.
No, let's not do that.
Okay. So, Nancy, very well done. And thank you for sharing that cool little story.
Yeah.
And that sweet little melody. And we really enjoyed your voice as well.
Indeed.
Nancy has a question, Matt.
Oh, yeah. Are there any libraries where you can borrow scores like you borrow books? I would love to have scores to read while listening to music. I know I could probably buy them, but that would become rather pricey.
Yes, it would.
I actually bought a score to Dvorak's New World Symphony, but can't possibly afford to buy a score for every piece of music I'd like to listen to. Well, here's the thing. If you are still involved with the college where you got your degree at all, their library most likely has a music section. MU is actually the Dewey Decimal indication for musical scores.
Oh.
Whereas ML is music literature, and then MT is music theory texts. So, but just plain old M is music score.
Okay.
Or maybe MS. You'll find it. Point is, if you're at all involved with your college still and can still check out books from there, they will most likely have lots of scores. Depending on how big the college is, it can be a whole shelf or even a whole room, a whole music library. Failing that, the internet is your friend.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Recently, I've been looking up pieces to use. I found a lot of people have taken the kindness of their heart, have made MIDI arrangements of these pieces, classical pieces.
Yes, indeed. Yeah.
So,
and even when you're buying PDF scores or things online, you often get them at a much cheaper price than you can buy a hard copy because you're really just buying a PDF.
Yeah.
And these are for, if you're buying Dvorak symphonies or something, that's probably the best way to go. If you're buying the music of contemporary composers, that is often just very much free.
Yeah.
If the person is still alive, email that person, and you'll probably get a copy of the score. I know when people email me wanting copies of scores, they just get them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have an app called Musical Notes.
Yeah.
And you can get a lot of stuff on this one.
Yeah.
And it's just for the price of an app.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
And whatever advertisements you feel like sitting through. One more thing about Nancy is she has been listening to a lot of the ear training episodes.
Uh-huh.
And she says she has beaten me in a few of these. So now we have Nancy Mitchell and Lucy from North London. Lucy, where are you?
Both surpassing you on the way to head of the class.
Are schooling me. I have contenders. So in the ear training. So y'all keep listening. Maybe I'll catch up. Maybe I won't.
We'll see.
We'll see.
All right. So what's next?
Yeah. So moving on. Thanks again, Nancy. Well done. Moving on. We have. Okay. I've been waiting for a long time for this, Matt. A very long time.
Okay.
We have our friend Chris Owen, aka
Tex the Legend.
The Legend. Now he says, I don't really go by Tex the Legend. I had a few beers when I was signing up to my new MacBook, and that's kind of how it happened. So we're just gonna call him Tex Owen, okay, Tex?
Okay. He's Tex the Legend in my heart.
In our minds, he is Tex the Legend and will always be Tex the Legend. He is out of Queensland, Australia.
Mm-hmm.
He is one of our PayPal donors, and he works on a farm out there in Dolby, Queensland. He sent us this cool little thing. He says it's actually a ragtime kind of piece.
Okay.
This is called Texas. It's the theme song for Texas Tavern.
Okay. Theme song for Texas Tavern.
Yeah. What?
And he says about it.
Yeah.
That is my first attempt at rag. I Googled form and structure theory for literally about 10 minutes, saw the name Scott Joplin about 7 times, so I Googled some of his scores. Well, there you go. The undisputed master of the rag.
Undisputed.
I learned more from visually dissecting each bar, always questioning why would he choose this group of notes, and what is their function, which is really the fundamental question of all music theory.
Is it not?
Why this notes? Why these notes at this place in the music? How does these notes make me feel? That is a different kind of feeling that I would have from other notes.
Inquiring minds want to know.
Indeed, yeah. So 10 minutes research, 2 hours of trial and error, and that's what I produced. My next one will be in the form of intro, ABC, key change, DE. Awesome.
Yeah, the Maple Leaf rag was actually a 5-part gag, and I wonder if he's gaining some inspiration from that.
Yeah, I bet, yeah. I wrote the short one just to see if I actually could first. Bit of a test drive, and inverted chords in the bass line. Awesome.
Someone's listening.
Someone's listening to us talk about inversions.
Yeah. Okay, so what else can I say about Tex? He's I'll get into a little bit more about him later on.
Okay.
There's cool things going on with these guys in Australia. Okay, you ready?
Yep.
Here we go. This is the theme for Texas Tavern. Texas, not Texas. In the key of G. Here we go. Okay. Yeah, thank you, Matt. Thank you. I think some of our listeners might appreciate that. Tex, Chris, after 10 minutes of research and 2 hours of trial and error,
he basically wrote a rag.
You wrote a rag. That is, Matt, you were saying it earlier. This is truly a rag.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It is very genre appropriate.
Yeah.
This sounds like a Scott Joplin rag to me.
Now, this is not Chris performing. This is one of the situations where our composer has notated all of this on MIDI, notated all of this in a notating software.
Right.
And then exported it as a MIDI file.
Yeah.
So, but it works in this case because that piano, which most MIDI piano files, from these softwares don't sound all that great.
Yeah.
But it has that thin kind of saloon.
It's saloon quality, yeah. So the not sounding that great is kind of working in its favor.
Yes.
In this particular case, yeah.
What's it called? Honky tonk piano?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, saloon piano, old player piano sounds.
That's the name of the patch anyway. Old time, kind of ragtime.
Oh, really? Okay.
Upright. Oh, I don't know.
There you go. Yeah.
But yeah, man. Now these chord changes happen pretty fast. So
pretty fast.
But it's a lot of it's in the key C. There's a lot of C. There's a lot of 1, 5, 1, and then the 4 to 1, and then you're gonna hear a minor chord in there. That's actually gonna be a 3 chord. No, that's gonna be a 6. Yeah, a 3 chord.
3 chord, yeah.
But it's mainly those chords 1, 4, 5, and then the 3.
Yeah, and in the melody, and this is something that is characteristic of rags. There's a lot of chromaticism.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're thinking I cannot tell what is going on in that melody, that's probably why.
Yeah.
Rags were some of the, along with the beginnings of jazz and even some blues, were some of the genres that sort of figured out that when you had something going along like there was very, very stable and solid like that, you could put all sorts of crazy crap on top of it, and it would not, and the music wouldn't fall apart because it had that very stable thing holding it together. This is sort of the aesthetic principle behind jazz musicians taking solos, where they go off and do some really crazy things. But they have that rhythm section playing out the chorus, keeping you grounded, so you can hear the piece of music doesn't fall apart, so you can appreciate all of this chromaticism and things without getting lost.
And he captured that well with the kind of the bass patterns he was doing. What the left hand would be doing normally on the piano.
Yeah, and in the right hand, he's done this again. Done this very well, very rag-like. The chords are there. The chords are sort of outlined. When you look at the first note and the last note of a bar, this in C or something, it will tend to make sense. But the in between notes, the passing tones, the chromatic passing tones there are highly chromatic. Very, very good job in creating this rag.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and listen to this again. Texas Tavern intro theme for Texas Tavern, and I'm gonna hit the chords the first couple of times, but then we'll just let it go, right?
Yeah, good plan.
Okay, here we go. We got a 5,
G7,
1,
C,
4, 1, 3, 5, 1. And so forth. I'm seeing like a black and white kind of grainy film. Bartender's got a handlebar mustache with the band around his arm. He's polishing off the bar.
Yeah.
Oh,
30-second note.
There's 30-second note runs. So fun.
Yeah. That looked like a minor 6 chord.
Yeah. Right before the bad guy walks in, everyone's having a good time.
Yeah.
I had so much fun during this one.
Yeah, that's a great piece.
There's so much going on. It's
just a great piece.
Energetic, good times.
Yeah, good stuff.
Thanks again, Tex, Chris the Legend.
Or Tex the Legend.
Thank you for sending that in to us. Now, here's more about these cats. Now, do you remember, Matt, a friend of ours and patron, James Church, he has a duet with C.L. Montgomery called Montgomery Church.
Yes.
Yes, we actually played that on episode 56.
Right.
And that was the first time we'd ever played a listener composition.
And I think it was, yeah.
And only up until now, I believe.
Yeah.
So they had this band called Montgomery Church, and they're out of Australia. And this is kind of like a country music band.
Right,
And it turns out there's just this great country scene in Australia. And Tex has a fiance named Cheryl. And the duet, together, they have a band called Andersonlane.
I see.
So Chris Owen in his daily life is Chris Owen when he has his glasses and his work suit on. When he rips all that off, he reveals himself as Tex Owen. And
Nice.
she is Andersonlane.
That's pretty cool.
Cheryl Anderson.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, this is a country band, country duet. And so Chris plays bass and Cheryl plays guitar and sings. And they just released this album called This Girl in January.
Uh-huh.
And it's making great waves in the Australian country music scene.
That's great.
Last I heard, it was number 7 on the charts.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, so the song that's making it big is called It's a Cowboy Thing.
Uh-huh.
Okay? Now, that song Tex actually helped write. He co-wrote that song. And the lyrics are fantastic. And I would share it with you guys, but it's getting plenty of playtime already. I'd recommend you go check out Andersonlane and check out It's a Cowboy Thing, because it is so well done. And these Australian people are really capturing country. Okay?
It's kind of scary.
You imagine if you talk to them, because you read their emails and they're like, "Good day, Jabra," or "Bungie," or "Cobber." You know, it's funny, kind of the Australian terms of endearment kind of
Right.
they kind of sound like insults, don't they? But we're trusting that they mean well when they call us these things. I've actually Googled them. They actually mean well.
Well, good.
But then you hear her sing, and she is straight out of Alabama, Georgia. I mean,
Yeah.
country.
It's just something else.
The song I wanted to share is a song called James Dean off the album. Now, Matt and I have been riding around listening to this stuff.
We have.
And this,
It's in my car.
This is one of my, and me too. And this is one of my favorites, actually, because the idea is, who among us, for one thing, who has ever had a sip or two of alcohol, might have had a sip or 5 or 6 or 7 or 8, and maybe made silly decisions, like wake up with a tattoo.
Yeah,
Of someone-
it's happened.
Yeah, and then been judged. Who among us has not been judged, Matt?
No one.
Who among us has not judged others?
Indeed.
Indeed. So she has a nice, classic little rant at the end of this, kind of an FU to everyone else judging her. But the story of how she gets there is just sheer comic genius. And to me, the funniest thing about it is, well, this is a girl in Australia. She wakes up with a tattoo of James Dean. Well, obviously, Cheryl knows who James Dean is.
Right.
But she's like, wait, who's James Dean? You know? Okay. So we're going to take a quick break. We're going to let this song play for you guys. And then we're going to move on to the next composition.
Okay.
Okay? So here we go. This is James Dean from Andersonlane off their album, their new release, This Girl.
The telephone is burning to the sound of the rumor mill. The ladies at the hall, I'm sure, having quite the thrill. With the me, and the my, oh my, bless my blessed soul. Lord have mercy on her sin, and here we go again. I've done 10 years in the pen, and I've had 20 different men. Got no shoes for the babies, I'm dancing for the rent. I sold my car for alcohol, and I traded the devil for my soul. Woke up with a tattoo of James Dean. Who? James Dean. Oh, okay. Well, Ouija boards are my new thing. I dance naked in the rain. Yes, I did. I cursed your cat. Yeah, I know, I'm getting fat. I still can't walk on water, no matter how I try. Can't bring back James Dean. Pretty little blonde hair, blue-eyed girl, hand in the air on the dance floor, singing life's too short, better start living like Norma Jean or James Dean. Well, I ain't fancy, but I ain't that rough, and I try my best when life gets tough. I live the best way I know that I can. I've just learned to crawl and climb, to start the fire with the wood and the wire, through the mud and the rain and the drought and the fear and the tears. But all of you ladies out there with your cups of tea, you know me best. My little fast car's my new best friend. I'm a rebel child with everything, cowboy boots and a wicked grin. The hair and the jeans and the bad boy thing. Hang on a minute, no, that's not me, that's not me. Pretty little blonde hair, blue-eyed girl, hand in the air on the dance floor singing. Life's too short, better start living like Norma Jean or James Dean. I've done 10 years in the pen and I've had 20 different men. Got no shoes for the babies, I'm dancing for the rent. Sold my car for alcohol, traded the devil for my soul. Woke up with the tattoo of James Dean. Who is James Dean? Well, I know who I am. Who the hell are you? You go to sleep every day and wake up perfect? With your gavel held up high and your little judge's hat? Are your hands clean? Yeah, I know who I am. I'm not Norma Jean, but you ain't no James Dean.
She captures country music so well.
Yeah.
Yeah, coming from a region, not exactly where that style of music originated, but very, very close to it. It's just amazing how well it sort of captures the pathos.
Yeah.
And captures the sort of the singing about the lifestyle and the mistakes and regrets, and not really even mistakes and regrets, just the things that other people think of negatively, and just having to sort of fight back against that. Which is kind of what country music originally was. It's in this country it has changed a lot over the decades, but originally, that she just captures that so well.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, again, great job, guys. Andersonlane was nominated Female Artist of the Year and Album of the Year for 2020 by the Tamworth Country Music Golden Guitar Awards. So we want to say congratulations again to both of you guys. We love you. We've enjoyed talking to you and hearing all your crazy, cool sayings. And we wish you all the best, man. Come out.
Absolutely.
I told they want to come to the States, and I already have a place for them to play.
Awesome.
And I got a place for them to stay.
Awesome. And
I
we
shouldn't
will
say that.
so be there.
I shouldn't say that. People are going to start just, hey,
come on, set me up with a gig.
I heard the food in Birmingham's good. Okay, anyways. So let's move on,
Side
shall
hustle.
we? Say what?
Side hustle.
Side hustle, yeah.
We get Australians gigs in Birmingham. That's our new part-time job, Jeremy.
Yeah. Maybe we can go out there, bring the podcast to Australia.
Oh, love it.
Okay, now let's move on, shall we?
Mm-hmm.
Don Ferguson.
Don Ferguson
has recently contacted me. I guess it was towards the end. He was one of the last ones in this group of compositions in February. And he has this little piece called Long Forgotten Dream.
Mm-hmm.
Don is out of Western San Francisco. He says he's living in a place overlooking the ocean.
Oh,
which
nice.
Sounds pretty great.
Yes. And he also says, "Hi, Matt and Jeremy, great podcast. I'm submitting a composition that includes a minor major 7. Oh, wow. Since I recall one of you saying that chord was almost never used. That was me that said that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And yeah. Also, I think I may be using a Neapolitan 6 in root position. Well, then it would be just called a Neapolitan.
Okay.
The 6 is what refers to the first inversion.
So
if it's just root position, then it's Neapolitan. But yeah, A flat major 7 leading to the G7 at the end of the piece. I'm going to be listening for that.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe there's a better way to interpret that chord. Would love to get your opinion.
Okay.
So this is Long Forgotten Dream.
Yeah, Long Forgotten Dream.
And he was good enough to give us a copy of the score. Yeah, here we go. That's guitar music. Lovely. All right.
Yeah, this is actually another MIDI file. He did this with an accordion, a MIDI accordion, a classical guitar, and congas, and guero, which I guess is another percussive.
Yeah, that's a percussion instrument.
That's where
Guero.
Guero. Yeah, okay. So, let's go ahead and give it a listen. What key is this in? I see,
Well, you tell me, Mr. Jeremy.
Well, I see 2 flats. I would think B flat, but I feel like it had like a minor feel to it, so maybe it's in G minor.
Yeah, I see 2 B flats, but I also see in the guitar chord a G, a D, a B flat, and a D. So it begins on a G minor. So I'm thinking maybe we could assume G minor unless we feel otherwise.
Let's see what happens, shall we?
Let's see what happens.
This is Long Forgotten Dream by Don Ferguson out of San Francisco. This is a 4/4 meter and looks like 2 flats in the key signature, so we're thinking G minor.
That's interesting. Definitely G minor, I feel like.
Definitely G minor, huh?
Yeah, definitely G minor over B flat.
What kind of ending was that? I mean, I guess we'll get to it on the second listen, but you know,
it was a ending. Was it an ending on 5? It almost sounded like an ending on 5.
Let's have a look at these chords.
I don't think I have the whole score. I kind of got lost.
It ends on a G minor 7 9.
Yeah. Okay. So 5 sounding, but technically the tonic.
Yeah, I guess it was that 9 and the 7 that had me like, huh? What just happened there?
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. But there's a lot of really interesting chromaticism and things going on in this piece.
Well, I'd first listened. I told him that I thought it sounded kind of like a romantic European kind of setting. You know what I mean? And he says, he said, I'm glad you mentioned that because it's a song about a young woman who leaves Paris to follow her love to America, as sung to her child who is contemplating a similar decision.
Oh, fascinating.
Sort of nostalgic and bittersweet.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we're going to get into this next part later on. First, we're going to listen to this piece one more time.
Okay.
And we're going to kind of talk.
We're going to kind of talk to it.
BS through it as we do. All right, here we go. Again, Long Forgotten Dream. Here we go.
G minor.
Straight to 5, a dominant 5.
This is actually melodic sequence.
Yeah.
Sort of. Yeah. This is 4.
Uh-huh.
5 of 4. And 1.
Which is interesting. Pretty cool sound.
that'll be 5 of 5 moving to 4.
Which I find equally interesting. Now there's that minor major 7 chord.
There it is.
Now this is a repeat. We're actually going back up to the top of the score.
Right, yeah. So this is the same stuff again.
You can tell that by the double lines and the double dots.
Mm-hmm.
So a repeat of from the very top of the song. Peace. I love that percussion.
Yeah.
This is fun. And that accordion really gives it that French, is where I think I got that Frenchy kind of feel. Now here we go. Next section. I guess B section.
Yep. And again, a lot of these melodic sequences that are allowing for unusual chord progression.
Yeah. Next section. Ooh, there's that crazy chord. Play me that G minor 9/7 chord.
G minor 9/7.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an interesting chord, isn't it?
Yeah, very beautiful. Again, you'll be able to see this if you go to our website, musicstudent101.com, click on the episodes or podcast, and then go to episode 70. And I'm going to try and put whatever music was sent to us. Not all of these have notation, but whatever ones we do have, we'll put them up on the site, and you can see what all we're talking about here. You can read along as it's playing, or you can try.
Yep, analyze some of these chords.
Yeah.
Because these chords are very, very rich. You know, there's a big color palette going on here. You know, there's a lot of chromatic passing tones in the accordion melody and things, and you know these ideas. Some of these melodic sequences that you hear. Let me see if I can land my score on a good one here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then where it's got sort of the same note configuration that just kind of moves down. This has the sort of harmonic effect of scrambling your brain in terms of what the function of the chords are. Mm-hmm. So you can have some actually pretty interesting chords, like you heard us sort of say 5/7 to 5 going to 4 and things like that. You know, the reason all of that is coming off and not sounding weird is because you know these sequences. The chord you land on sounds right because it's the chord that harmonizes the sequence.
Yeah.
Right. So it's falling in the right place, and so your ears get sort of used to hearing that, which is a pretty advanced technique and pretty cool. You know. And
I think Don was able to really put us in the moment with all that, some of that chromaticism, you know, and the accordion.
Yeah. His movement to 4 it sounds dramatic and things, and it's a really good piece. It's really well composed. I'm listening for that Neapolitan 6. And so we have an A flat major 7 leading to a G7 at the end of the piece.
G minor 7.
Yeah, A flat major 7 would be 5 of 5. Well, no, A flat. Yeah. So yeah, that would be Neapolitan in the key of
Yeah.
G minor. Yeah,
That counts.
Yeah, yeah.
Just not a Neapolitan 6 chord.
Right.
If it is in fact in root position.
If it's in fact in root position, then you would call it Neapolitan. Just
Right.
Neapolitan.
Very cool. Very cool.
But definitely one of those.
Now, this is kind of interesting. There's a little bit of serendipitousness going on here, okay?
Yeah.
Because Don said, and I quote, "I'm working on a musical, but I suck at lyrics." So if there are any singer, lyricists out there who want to collaborate, please contact me. Now, I think we just had a listener who said that
Yeah, no kidding. Maybe put those two together.
Nancy Mitchell has been working with a group of like 20 songwriters. And they all collaborate and write songs, and maybe she and some of her friends can help you deliver your message in a poetic and songwriting style.
It is worth a shot.
Yeah.
It is definitely worth a shot. Very intriguing composition. I really like this a lot. The percussion adds a lot.
Yeah.
And the melody to me is just great. It just sets the tone. It's just the right amount of lyricalness. Mm-hmm. Yeah, really sets the tone.
Good contours.
Yeah, good contours. Good piece.
Now, Don was pretty proud of this, and he should be. Kind of at the end of the first section on measure 15, he uses a chord called the minor major 7 chord, which we have talked about before, a rare chord. Let's talk about it real quick if we can.
Really quickly, a minor major 7 chord would be a minor chord on top of which we put the interval of a major 7.
Okay.
So,
Wow.
yeah, it's a rarely used chord. I'm not gonna say never, but it's a rarely used chord.
Very rarely.
Wow.
It has an augmented kind of feel to it.
Yeah, it's not diatonic to anywhere. So.
Because normally if you play a minor chord, it would be with a minor 7.
Right. Yeah. So the typical minor 7 chord.
Yeah.
That's all over the place.
Yeah, we've heard that.
But yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Weird stuff. Thank you for using that. Hats off to you.
Indeed.
Okay, you ready to move on?
Yes.
All right, now, we have our friend Jason Keener, who has also briefly written in. He was able to identify speaking of the 9th chord, minor 9 chord. Nice. Just by listening, just by hearing it.
Nice.
And was impressed with that. And he was like, hey, you guys, this is kind of working. You know what I mean? Jason Keener, based out of Birmingham, Alabama.
Oh, nice.
So I actually see him a pretty good bit.
Yeah.
He says he went through Zappa's discography about a year or so ago, and he was kind of, he wasn't too happy, I guess, what's the word? He wasn't too moved by the fact that all the albums had a completely different sound to them.
Yeah, that is kind of a Frank Zappa thing.
Yeah, it's kind of all over the place, you know?
Yeah.
And he kind of, his solution to that was, he like some of us, composed a lot of different styles and genres of music.
Yeah.
So Jason Keener has kind of adopted 4 personas. Okay?
Okay.
He's got Jason LaRay Keener, who we'll be hearing from today.
Okay.
Who has kind of classical atmospheric sounds.
Okay.
Then you have the Awfulizer.
The Awfulizer.
Who does mainly, I guess, noise music, like Insanity is how he described it.
Okay.
Which I'm sure we can hopefully get our hands on in future episodes. And Runt Vulture. Yeah. That's going to be his hip hop. He's doing a lot of hip hop beats and stuff like that. And then finally, he has an affinity for poppy 80s and 90s music, and that will be Splash 96.
Okay.
Is the composer that does all the...
Sounds like it, yeah.
So we have ourselves a rebranding kind of composer to fit all the different needs that he's writing. And he's quite prolific. I've heard a lot of his music. And he has kind of an interesting approach to composing.
Yeah.
He says he likes to complete it before moving on. So where I come down here and I'm like, I'll do fragments of this and that. And,
right.
You know, and just, it's ultimately probably does me more harm than good because it's just chaos and scattered.
Yeah.
He's got systems. We all have systems, of course, color coding and all that stuff. But he says, hey, I'm going to make this song my thing. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to keep on working on it till it's done.
Yeah, I'm probably a little closer to Jason myself, actually.
Yeah.
I'll have 3 or 4 sort of sketches, and then I'll tend to hone in on one, and that'll be my main thing. Mm-hmm. And then when that's done, I'll have 3 or 4 other sketches that are so I'm sort of taking some time to sketch out the future, but also the bulk of my work is focused on one thing at a time. So I'm a little more like him, I think.
Yeah. And I was telling him how you were telling me that you wake up in the morning, you actually set a time, you set aside time every day to do it.
Yeah.
That is your don't touch me, don't talk to me.
All right.
I compose.
Yep.
I guess I do a similar thing, only at the opposite time, because like when the girls go to bed, I got the place to myself.
Right.
And where you might be drinking a couple of coffees, I'm up here at 2 o'clock in the morning having a beer and just
writing some music,
seeing what happens. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Different approaches.
Oh,
but,
yeah.
I think Jason's approach makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So let's listen to this piece, and then we're going to talk a little theory, and then hear it again, shall we?
Okay.
Okay, so this is Clinic by the Park.
Okay.
By Jason LaRay Keener. This is in D Dorian, by my reckoning. Let's see what you think, Matt. All right. Now, Jason also 100%edly admits that this was very much inspired by Eric Satie. Which I think I have mispronounced as Satie before. But it's Satie.
Yeah, the French Impressionist composer, huh?
Satie sounds way more French than Satie. Come on.
Oh, you have to say it right. Satie.
Yeah, Satie. Yeah. So anyways, actually, Jason was the guy that got me into Eric Satie.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, absolutely. Many years ago. But he was inspired by the whole Gymnopédie Part 1.
Oh, yeah. That was his big famous... So Eric Satie was sort of famous for being a little bit of a satirist composer. And he wrote a piece called Sonata in the Shape of a Pear.
Oh, right.
And, things like that. He was a little bit of an anti-intellectualist, which was a thing in France in the early 20th century. Gymnopédie was was one of his attempts at being at serious music, at being a serious composer. He wasn't joking around. That was serious, and it's one of his more famous pieces, and one of his more beautiful, I think. Yeah.
Just I pronounced that wrong too.
I don't know. I just pronounce it the way I pronounce it and assume I'm right.
Alabama, yo.
that Jim Napadi.
Jim Napadi, part 1.
Part 1. Yeah, we can make fun of ourselves.
We can.
That's a good thing.
Oh, a lot of people are probably making fun of us right now. Oh, we'll not get into that.
Let's not get into
it. So
they're used to us.
Yeah. Jason, he said a couple of things. He wrote this a while ago before he learned about inversions. So the chords you're hearing is root position chord.
Yeah.
He's kind of doing a D minor.
Yeah.
Which is D. Yeah. So he's holding the root and then bouncing on the upbeat. He's getting the other 2.
Yeah. Bouncing out of that 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it almost gives it kind of a heartbeat, kind of a breathing, kind of aliveness, you know. Yeah. But it's subtle. It's, I don't know it's hard to describe.
You have a sense of kind of knowing what's happening because, again, this is very stable, right? This is very, but also having a sense of you don't really know what's going to happen because, a jump down to 4 is going to defy your ear training unless you're really, really good, right? Mm-hmm. So you don't really know where you landed. You still feel that stableness. Yeah. So you're not just kind of like, whoa, what just happened? But at the same time, there's a little bit of an unknown. Yeah. Because your ears kind of know what's going on, but then again, they're struggling to really know what's going on, right? It's interesting that he wrote this before he learned about inversions,
isn't it?
I think in doing just that might have made it less interesting.
I know.
Just doing a normal 6/4, right?
And we talked about that because he says he feels like using the actual root position chords expands the texture a little bit. Like if you're going to do a D minor and then just shift it over to hold it all within the same 8 notes.
Yeah, he's definitely sort of opened up his bass line a little from... he kind of... He's down there sometimes too, right?
Yeah. Well, he does the same thing in A minor also. He ends up transposing it to A minor, I think. Or just going to the minor 5.
Yeah.
At some point. Dare we... now, he's admittedly... He's like, I didn't know a lot of theory about this. I just kind of wrote what I felt.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, this sounds pretty, well, it sounds like someone who knew what the hell they were doing.
Yeah.
Wrote it, you know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
So this is just good music.
Yeah.
That's what it boils down to.
Yeah.
Using his sensibilities and what he wants to capture, and the mood he wants to capture, and making it happen.
Yeah. And that's what music is.
That's what music is.
And now we're going to sort of put on our theory hats and analyze it.
To the best of our abilities.
To the best of our ability.
Okay, and there's one cool thing I want you to listen for at the very end.
Mm-hmm.
Listen to that chord he ends on. We're going to talk about that, okay?
Okay.
So here we go. This is Clinic in the Park by Jason LaRay Keener. A section. I tried to section this, but it's really just kind of a complete...
It's kind of through composed.
Through composed. A little D minor. E minor to B minor. E minor. B minor. So that's like a borrowed chord.
Yeah.
E minor.
Yeah, borrowed 2 chord.
Yeah, 2 chords borrowed from the major key.
Except that if we're in D Dorian, it would indeed be minor.
Ah, okay.
So it would indeed be a diatonic.
That's right. Maybe not borrowed, if we're calling Dorian a scale.
Yeah.
Or key.
Which, do you want to have that argument?
This is one of my favorite parts.
It's nice.
Isn't that cool?
Now, that's me. That's my favorite part there. That jump down.
We just went to A minor. We went to the minor 5.
Yeah.
Little suspensions in the melody. Similar theme, right? Harmonizing. Listen to those harmonies. Yeah, right there.
That's very French impressionist. That's very
French
Satie.
impressionist, yeah. Impressionist?
Impressionist.
There's a little bit of tension gathering here. Not tension, but anxiety.
Yeah.
Or something. introspective, it's pensive, it's kind of meandering. That was a D minor and E minor back and forth, by the way. E minor. Tempo change. Slowing it down. Listen to what he's doing with those rhythms.
It's almost like the right hand has slowed while the left hand stays in the same tempo.
It's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah. All of these things coalescing to form a sense of knowing what's going on, but not really.
Yeah.
You know, which gives that sense of unease.
Yeah.
Not horror, but unease.
Oh, and this last chord here. Okay, this chord right here. At first, I thought to myself, was this a Picardy third? Yeah, that right there.
Yeah.
He actually ended up taking the, he ended up dropping the third from the minor third.
Yeah.
So by the time he got to this chord, it sounded to me like since that minor third wasn't there, I was like, oh, did it become major? No, it didn't become major. It was just less minor.
Yeah, it was just an open fifth.
Which is D and A.
Yeah, yeah. When you get that far down on the keyboard, you see a lot of octave fifth stuff, just because thirds will muddy up down there. Yeah, so yeah.
Now Jason actually was playing this with both hands live.
Wow.
And I'm impressed by that.
Yeah, that's some great keyboard chops.
Yeah. He also said that he does not like repetition or redundancy. So when I made that comment about what's going on with the melody here, he actually was using a very similar melody, but moving the rhythms around.
Yeah.
Hanging on to notes for longer, syncopating.
Right.
And just trying to make it different. You know?
Right, yeah.
So there wasn't a lot of moments that sounded similar. There wasn't like a repeated,
there's not an A section
coming. Yeah.
I wanted to say back at the end.
I wanted to be like, okay, this is the A section, this is the B section. Oh, maybe this is C. Then maybe this is B prime. Maybe this is D. Maybe this is E.
Yeah.
But I think what you were calling it was just a through composed.
Through composed, meaning just written.
Just written.
Yeah. And again, a lot of French Impressionist influence there. You know, I mean, we come back to sort of the Satie inspiration.
Mm-hmm.
That would be something that style leans to more.
Mm-hmm.
Just sort of bringing back melodies as a way of recollection and unity more than actual bringing back. Okay, this is the melody brought back. You know, there'll be more. This is the tone brought back.
Yeah.
You know, or something like that, or look for ways to make it not just brought back. The Debussy is sort of grouped in with these same people, and you know he has some pieces that just, you know, the form is just A B C D E F G. You know, I mean there's really no repetition that will create a traditional kind of form.
Right.
You know? It's just sort of written.
You couldn't call it rondo or sonata or whatever.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. None of that. And so again, you know. Showing an inspiration from the sort of early 20th century French style. You know.
Jason, you might know might know more. You
might know more than you think. Think.
He has a question too before we move on.
Okay.
Jason says, and he has a disclaimer. He says he kind of knows the answer to this.
Okay.
But he kind of wants the people, anyone else might be curious about this. Okay. And I'm actually reading a book that talks about this a little bit.
Yeah.
Right? What you got?
Why do we have keys other than C major and A minor?
If everything is truly relative, if it is all truly relative.
Right.
I mean, I think I know the answer. I have my own answers and my own opinions.
Yeah, that's one of those sort of big questions that's hard to come up with an easy answer, isn't it? I mean, well, historically, we had different keys before everything was equal, right?
Yeah.
Before equal temperament came along, D minor sounded way different than A minor. You know, one would sound kind of nostalgic and melodic, and the other one would sound darker. You know, and so they really would be differences in these.
And in those cases where there are different intervals between the notes, so to speak, as you move up and down the frequency spectrum, or do they keep? This is before the.
Yeah, before equal temperament. Yeah, so they some notes would be closer together, that some half steps would be closer together than others. It was the half step that was not always exactly equal. So maybe E flat is closer to E, just an example, than B flat is to B.
Yeah.
So when you play in a key that has two flats like G minor, that's going to sound way different than when you play in a key that has one sharp like D major. Or, you know. So yeah. So historically, those were around. Other than that, nowadays, why? Well, we have 12 notes, and we can make 12 major scales and 12 minor scales out of them. And because of that, we have all of these kinds of options, right? If there was only C major and A minor, modulation wouldn't really be a thing, right? But because we can expand the idea of chord progression to the idea of key progression. So, you know, you look at a piece of music that modulates to the dominant, and so this is like a 1-5-1, you know, in C in a larger key.
Yeah.
Right? And then you can look at a symphony that does that.
Yeah.
Right? That goes 1-4-5-1 in a key, right? Symphony in D minor. First movement's D minor, second movement is G minor, third movement is A major, and fourth movement. And this is Beethoven's Ninth.
That's involving other notes that would not have been represented or even
right, yeah. That's
present.
Involving other scales, other concepts that we would not have. Because we have those scales, we can expand out. We don't just have to play in a key. We don't just have to play a chord progression in a key. We can expand a chord progression out into a key progression.
Yeah.
You know, and expand this whole notion of counterpoint outwards. And that is the use of multiple key areas in tonal harmony, you know, moving into the equal temperament realm. You know, is that most pieces don't stay in one key all the time. Right. There's also when you talk about vocal music, you know, some singers sing better in one key, some singers sing better in another.
Oh yeah.
You know,
I was gonna bring up writing for horns and woodwinds.
Writing for horns and woodwinds. Yeah, there were different. There were keys that one sounded better in. You know, or one particular instrument would sound better in.
Sure.
So yeah, all of those tactile, practical stuff that becomes when music becomes not theoretical, but something you actually have to do. You know.
Hey, and if that was the case, if say I'm playing a show with my band, we're doing 20 songs. We're doing 2 sets, 10 songs, first set, second set, 10 songs.
Yeah.
All the major songs are C major. All the minor songs are A minor.
Yeah.
That's gonna get a little bit. No, at some point, people will probably just lose interest because they're so used to.
Well, the first time someone ever broke out a song that was in G minor, it would be the most popular thing you ever did.
It would be groundbreaking.
It would be groundbreaking, which is kind of funny.
Yeah, I wish I could have been born so many years ago.
Yeah.
And been the first guy to bust out a G minor.
To bust out a G minor, yeah. Or the first guy to bust out chromaticism. You would have been Claudio Monteverdi. You know, you actually kind of got pilloried for it. You know.
Ooh.
But there you go. So I mean, that would be my answer to that question, is because just like almost everything in music theory, is there to give you options.
Absolutely.
You know, options of places to go and options of things to do.
More noticeable mood changes. More noticeable. Can take you for different places, you know.
And I think in many ways there is tactile differences. When you get into singing in D minor versus singing in A minor, or you get into, like you said, playing the horn, playing a B flat trumpet in B flat versus in C. You know, I think you get into things where the music actually sounds different. That affects the resonance and the timbres and the everything, you know, all the actual musical things that, you know, I mean, maybe they don't sound different like they did back in Pythagorean tuning time.
Sure.
But they can sound different.
Well, this is fodder for another episode down the road.
Yeah, and totally.
I'm already excited about this because it's a lot of cool audio.
I hope that answers his question. Well, that's one of those questions like, why is the sky blue? And it's like, it just is.
Hey, I see him sometimes. I'll make sure we can get his sign off on that.
Yeah, I don't know if that was the answer you were thinking, but, you know.
I think we covered a lot in that answer, actually.
Yeah.
Honestly. But what was I saying? What was I going to say? This is an idea for another episode down the road.
Absolutely.
And I'm kind of excited about that because there's a whole lot of kind of like almost audible illusions.
Yeah.
But this is not really about that. This is about people suggesting that, for example, C minor is sadder than D minor.
The pathétique key.
Yeah, what's that?
The pathétique. C minor is the pathétique key. So it's the key of pathos.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's some people are suggesting that different keys have actually different levels of feeling. You know?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But there was a study where they actually tested a lot of this, and they
It probably didn't.
ultimately found out that, yes, it is all relative.
Yeah. But that doesn't mean C minor doesn't mean something different for you.
No. And that's a very short version of the study I just gave. There's more to it than that.
But we digress.
You can find Jason LaRay Keener on SoundCloud, and you can look him up as Raining Nails.
Very nice.
And that is REINING.
Yeah, like rain as in a king's reign.
Yeah,
Raining nails.
But there's not a G in there.
Except that there's not a G in there.
So I don't know. REINING. Yeah. Nails spelled like nails. NAILS.
Yeah.
So if you want to hear more of his music, you can find that on SoundCloud. Raining Nails.
Yeah. So we got just one more of these.
Yeah. Thanks again, Jason. And now we shall move on to John. John Magnusson Monreal, one of our valued Patreon patrons, is based out of Stockholm, Sweden.
Very nice.
According to his page on tune.com, that's CHOON.co, actually, CO. John, JON, Magnusson, MAGNUSSON, is a producer and musician, and his music is kind of got bits of folk, Americana, jazz, psychedelic rock, which you're going to hear a little bit of. And he does a lot of cool collaborations, a big fan of independent music. And he was one of the earlier people to send me his compositions, and he is a very prolific writer and very skilled at actually, this is one example of how he's using MIDI, he's recording real-time MIDI. Mm-hmm. He's not notating it. He's actually playing on a keyboard.
Yeah.
And he seems to have a pretty good grasp on articulating MIDI sounds. I mean, to me, this is a very well-produced piece of music, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Okay? And what else can we say about this? You're going to hear organ, you're going to hear piano, drums, bass, and guitar. Now, the bass itself is upright. That a friend of his actually recorded, so that is a true upright bass.
Okay.
The guitar, he did himself, so that's true. So let's just give it a listen, see what you guys think about it. It's very lively and very fun. This is called This Is All It Takes by John Magnusson Monreal. It is in 6/4 time and the key of C major. Oh, well done, John.
Yeah, very nice.
Well done. So nice.
That is an interesting composition there, isn't it?
Yeah. He took a lot of time to, like I said, articulate those sounds.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when you have, I'm thinking he's either really got this down or he's actually playing like those arpeggiating in the organ.
Yeah.
Well, if you have an arpeggiator, you just hold the chords and it does all the moving.
Yeah.
But I heard him actually hold the notes without the arpeggiating effect. So he's either
so he's really playing that.
He's either shutting it off or he's actually really playing it. He's either shutting the arpeggio. He either knows how to articulate that good or he knows how to play that good.
Right.
So one way or the other, John, it's a win.
Yeah, props to.
And then he kind of took the time to give the piano its time. Every instrument kind of has its moment to do something cool.
Yeah, which is sort of good music writing.
It is. The bass player takes a badass little break.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Really cool thing.
That was a great little break, yeah.
And the guitar sound is just really sweet and smooth and rich, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So, one more time. Here we go, John. And I think we've determined this to be in the key of C, didn't we? We think. Okay, yeah. Here we go. Nice little drum fill at the top.
Yeah.
This organ is setting the pace. This piano feels everything feels like it's going great.
Yeah.
Nice. And again, this is real upright bass performance. Sounds fantastic.
Yeah.
And there's our melody with the guitar.
Yeah, I love that descending bass line.
Yeah. That's one of the coolest things you can do with bass is walk up or down.
Yeah, right.
But now he's just being a bass player.
Now he's just being a bass player. Yeah.
Letting that other things do their thing. Little piano moment. Sparkly. Like a major 7 kind of feel to it, or
Yeah.
good same melody, chord changing over it.
Yeah.
That's a cool technique.
Mm-hmm.
Now, organ break. Organ's is doing its thing. Everyone gets a moment. I thought these drums sounded pretty real.
Yeah, I do too.
This is MIDI.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Nice little bass lick.
Bass players don't need a whole 20-minute solo.
Yeah, just give us one good lick.
I don't want a 20-minute solo. So we're kind of revisiting the top. We're kind of, what do you call it? Reprising.
Yeah. It's kind of the head. You want to think about it as a jazz.
Back to the head. And it sounds like it ended right back on 1.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that was just a delightful and fun piece of music.
It is.
And
we like it.
Very well produced and very well performed. And John.
Good job.
You can hear more of John's music on Spotify or SoundCloud or YouTube even. Looks like he's got his own podcast on YouTube. Just look up John Magnusson. And what else? John actually has a question.
Oh, yeah.
Now, this is a good one. This is a very good one. He says, I listened to part of the bass episode, and even though it was interesting, it didn't give that much to my knowledge of writing for bass as I would have wanted.
Is this the episode on the bass instrument or bass lines? Or
just the bass. It was just on the bass of the instrument.
Okay.
And we had Aaron Branson come in, our good friend Aaron, and it was a great episode, very well received. We talked all about the bass, being a bass player, and all about playing the bass.
We didn't really talk so much about writing for bass.
We didn't really talk about that much,
Yeah.
Do you have anything to say about that?
Ooh, well, yeah, big can of worms. How to write for bass.
Mm-hmm.
Judging by the bass line I just heard, I don't think you need a whole lot of advice, honestly. But
especially if you wrote that yourself.
Yeah, but if I'm going to give advice, the bass moves in fifths and octaves. Well, let's get down into a bass. Yeah. Whenever the bass moves by step, it's kind of something special. These are kind of the idea of bass licks, right? And those are the licks, and most of the time the bass is kind of a octave fifth kind of instrument.
Yeah.
Right? Would you sort of agree with that?
I would agree. Yeah. And I hate to sound so restrictive, but honestly, I don't go much beyond the triad.
Yeah.
I'm like, if I was to put an importance on each note as a bass player, I would say first off the root.
Right.
Next would be the 5.
Right.
Next would be the 3.
Right.
Next would be the 7.
Right.
Now, all of those things typically, you want to put those on the downbeats.
Yeah.
And if you want to have any chromaticism or any other, like the 2...
And you're talking about the qualities of the chord, not scale degree 7 necessarily, but...
I'm actually talking about the scale degree.
Scale degree 7, okay.
Yeah. So if I'm playing in key of C, for example, my first priority would be the root or the C note. Second would be the 5th or the G note. Then maybe the 3rd, the E. And then the 7th, the B flat note. That's kind of the order of importance that I put on the notes as a bass player.
Right, yeah.
Any other scale degrees are used as a vehicle to get from that one of those other key notes to the other key
note. That's me when I'm writing bass lines. I guess I sort of think of the root of the chord generally as my goal. Mm-hmm. Now, unless I'm we've talked about inversions being a way to write cool bass lines.
Yeah.
Right, where you're sort of and that's always great. Mm-hmm. Right, but failing that, in basic bass lines, I think of the root of the chord as my goal, and the other scale degrees as ways to get there.
Yeah.
So if I'm playing...
Or to accent it.
Yeah. So if I'm playing an A minor, and my first chord is A minor, I'm on A minor, right, and then my next chord is C major, I'm gonna... Right? Mm-hmm. So that B is a way to get from there. So when you start thinking about your chord progressions and you think about ways to, like, where am I going? So, ways to get to E. Mm-hmm. Just with that 4 is pretty basic. Or what, so that's kind of how I do it. Unless, of course, I'm thinking, oh yeah, this is an inverted chord, and then the bass note of the inversion is the goal, and other things are ways to get there. Although inverted chords are usually sort of a way to get somewhere themselves, right?
More secure, more stable. It's a way to get somewhere more stable.
Yeah, it's a way to get somewhere more stable, right?
Another thing about this, we're not talking about specifically writing for a bass guitar or an upright bass.
Yeah, we're talking about writing bass lines.
We're talking about writing bass lines, just to clarify. So this could be your piano, your cello. If you're playing finger picking on the guitar, this is what your thumb is going to be doing on the low string. Yep. These are bass lines. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
Bass parts.
Yeah. Awesome.
I mean, that's the consideration. I mean, that's the main thing I can think of.
Yeah. Yeah. As far as like I said, based on that bass line, I don't know how much advice he needs, but
yeah. That's great music. All you guys, everyone that's been sending your music into us, and everyone on this episode, Matt and I are golf clapping, because I don't want to spike out the microphones. But we're so impressed, and we're so happy and so thrilled to have been able to pull off this episode.
Yeah, this has been fun.
And talk about something other than ourselves.
Yeah.
Wasn't that nice?
Yeah, or music theory. God.
Or music theory, which we'll be getting right back to pretty soon. So enjoy this nice round number episode. We do special things on the round number episodes.
Yes, we do.
It seems like.
Yes, we do.
Okay, so we are going to take you out with the outro theme to Marc McDowell and his wife Meadows' podcast.
Awesome.
Actual Events podcast. It is a true crime podcast about murder, crazy murders. Most of them, it seems like, based on TV shows or based on the situations. And they talk about the details, and they do a fine job. They have a really good groove together, and they have it's a good listen. So check it out, and you get to hear this great music at the top and at the bottom of every episode.
And thank you all so much for your submissions.
Thank you so much. Keep them coming.
Keep them coming. We'll see you soon.